Let's take a look at the questions on homework on number 11. So the first one is plotting points and graphing lines when you are given the table. So here's the equation of a linear function. 3/2 times the quantity x minus 4 minus 2. And you could type this into your TI-84 calculator and generate a table. They've already given you a table. And what they're asking for you to do is to plot at least 2 points. Down here, plot at least 2 points from the table of values such that they have integer coordinates. So when we're looking at our table, we can see that it goes from -10 to +10, which is good because our graph goes from -10 to +10, but so do our y-axes. So any number that is higher or lower than positive or -10 would not be appropriate. They wouldn't fit. So none of these would fit on our graph, and these would not fit on our graph. But all of these would, and all of these would. So we know that we're looking for just here and later. And in addition, we're looking for only integer points, right? See these here? Their y values do not have decimals. Their x values do not have decimals. So these are the points they're looking for you to plot. And you have to plot at least 2, and you can plot more. I'm going to scroll down a bit here so you can see the actual graph. Right? You can see the coordinate plane here. And so I'm going to graph first 0, -8. So 0, -8, I'm going to click once. And then I can graph 2, -5, or 6, 1, or 8, 4. So I'm going to graph 6, 1. And there's my 2 points. I can certainly graph more, like 4, -2, 4, -2. And when I'm done plotting the points, I click Done Plotting Points. And then if you have a ruler, you're going to click and drag the line. Make sure you draw the graph to the edge of the grid on both sides. So I'm going to go all the way down here, right? And I'm going to slide my mouse, and it will generate that nice straight line for you. And we're going to submit our answer. Let's try one more time. Here's the equation of the line. Here are the tables that they generated, and it asked us to plot 2 points on the graph below. So I'm going to graph -8, +8. So -8, +8. And I guess I'll graph 2, -2. 2, -2, and maybe one more. How about 7, -7? 7, -7. Done plotting points. Whoops, I think I made a mistake here. Which one? -8, 8, right? -8, 8. -2, -2. And what was this one? 7, -7. 7, -7. This one I did wrong, right here. Change points. I did -2, -2 instead of 2, -2. 7, -7. And -8, +8. And now when I'm done, yep, now that's how my line should line up. So I'm going to go from all the way from the edge of the graph down. That's my answer. Alright, so I knew I had graphed I had plotted a point wrong because they were not in a straight line. So make sure that you double check. Alright, this time they're going to give us the equation, but they're not going to give us the table. So we're going to use our TI-84 calculators. So you're going to turn it on. You're going to click the y equals button here, and you're going to type that equation. Negative, and then this is the button we use for x. -x, subtract 4. Now in order to see the table, you have to press second graph. And you can go up and down using these arrows here to look at the points on this table. We got to plot at least 2. So I'm going to plot -3, -1, -3, -1. I'm going to plot 0, -4, and I'm going to plot, let's see, 4, -8. 4, -8. Done plotting points. It creates this nice straight line. Excellent. Go all the way to the edge. Whoa, Yikes. I'm going to erase that drawing. So if I keep my mouse close to the ruler, it creates a nice straight line like that. Okay, again, clear your y equals button here of any old data. I'm going to type negative, and I'm going to press the fraction button, right? Alpha, y equals. So negative 1/5, parentheses, x minus 3 plus 5. Now I'm going to look at my table, and I've got a bunch of fraction points here, so I don't want to graph those. So let's see, I'm going to go up a little bit here. All right, negative 7, 7. So negative 7, positive 7. Then I'm going to do negative 2, 6. Negative 2, 6. And then let's see if I can't grab a couple more points. By arrowing down, I'm going to choose 3, 5. And that should be enough. I see that it's a nice straight line here. So I'm going to be done plotting my points. I'm going to put my mouse next to the ruler. Make sure I don't cross the ruler. And there we go. Again, type this equation into your y equals button by clearing out the old values, using your fraction button if you need to. Alpha y equals 3/5. Don't forget to arrow away from the fraction before typing x minus 2, and then second graph to get your table. Again, don't use these fraction points, so I'm going to do 0, negative 2. I'm going to do 5, 1, and I'm going to grab another point here. There's a good one, 10, 4. Done plotting points. Yep, my ruler is nice and straight. I'm going to go all the way from the edge to the other edge. All right, I don't think it gets any harder than this, maybe a little bit longer, but not more complicated. So let's try plotting it when it's not in y equals form, right? So I cannot graph this by plotting points or creating a table unless my equation is solved for y, right? Unless it's in isolated form. So I'm going to divide every term by negative 4, right? So I get y is equal to, and I have x over negative 4. X over negative 4, which is also known as 1x, right? 1x. And so now I can see the fraction is negative 1/4. So this is what I'm going to type in my calculator. And I'm going to generate a table. Second, y equals, clear this out. Alpha, y equals for my fraction button. So I've got 1 over negative 4 with my x on the side, and then my plus 2. So I'm going to take a look at my table here. The only integer point I see is 8, 0, so I'll plot that one. Maybe I can go backwards here. 4, 1, 4, 1. Maybe keep going backwards here. 0, 2. Excellent. That was looking nice and straight, so I'm going to say I'm done plotting my points. I'm going to draw my line. Whoa. Erase that. Try again. There we go. Okay. Now, if you do not have a TI-84 calculator, you would have to make up your own table. And you'd have to do the math. So you have a y equals 1 over negative 4, x plus 2. And you would try and create an input and an output yourself. That's why you need a calculator. Otherwise, it'll take you a while. So you start randomly picking numbers. Numbers you know that you can evenly, times by 1/4. So maybe factors of 4, like 8. Right? I can pick 8. So 1 times 8 is 8. 8 divided by negative 4 is negative 2. Negative 2 plus 2 is 0. I can pick another number to go in here. Maybe I pick the number 4, right? 1 negative 1/4 times 4 is negative 1. Negative 1 plus 2 is 1, right? Then I erase this, and I choose another number. Maybe I choose negative 4. So negative 4 times 1/4 is positive 1. I will get a 3 here. Negative 4, 3. That makes sense, right? So if you don't have a TI-84 to generate your own points, you have to insert a value in for x and do the math to find the output for y. And once you do that, you can graph your linear function. So again, I'm going to isolate for y. This time I'm going to move the 6x to the other side. So negative 5y equals 10 minus 6x. Then I'm going to divide by negative 5. Divide by negative 5. And negative 5 divided by negative 5 is positive y. This is going to be a negative 2. And this is going to be a positive 6/5. And that's okay that it's a fraction, because we're going to type it in our calculator anyways. So again, I go to my y equals button, clear out my old information. I type negative 2 plus fraction button, alpha y equals 6/5 with your x on the side, not in the denominator. Generate your table here by pressing second graph. And again, looking only for integer values. And since I'm timesing by something in the fifths, I would multiply. I would choose values for x that were multiples of 5. So let's see, 0, negative 2, 0, negative 2. I'm going to go to negative 5. Let's see what I get. Negative 8, so negative 5, negative 8. And now I'm going to go down to positive 5. Let's see what we get. Positive 5, 4. Positive 5, 4. Done plotting points. Put this to the side. Clear my screen. Yep, that looks good. Draw my line. Whoa. Try that again. Drag my mouse all the way along the ruler. Fantastic. Alright, so again, isolate for y, generate a table, graph those points. Okay. Now we're back to solving inequalities here. You're going to need some scrap paper, because this is what you're going to be isolating the letter D. Right? You're going to be isolating the letter D. So in order to do that, we are going to distribute negative 3 plus 18d plus 15 is less than negative 3d. Let me write this again. Negative 3 plus 18d plus 15 I'm going to combine these right now, right, like that. I'm going to combine these. I'm going to move my 3d to the other side. Subtract 12. $23. Okay, and we're going to divide by 21. And we're going to get d is less than negative 23 over 21. So it's a fraction, negative 23 over 21. And it is less than, yes, negative 23 over 21. Okay, let's try it again. Again, some more combining of like terms. This time I'll leave the answer box off. Distribute carefully here. Plus 6t minus 14 less than or equal to negative 10t plus 4 plus 3t. Looks like I'm going to combine these on this side and these on that side. That gives me 3t minus 14 is less than or equal to negative 7t plus 4. I'm going to add 7t to both sides. 10t minus 14 is less than or equal to 4. I'm going to add 14 to both sides. Get 10t is less than or equal to 18. Divide by 10. So t is less than or equal to 18 tenths. Whoops, getting ahead of myself there. And I can reduce this in half, right? So t is less than or equal to 9/5. T is less than or equal to 9/5. Oh, I gotta change this to less than or equal to 9/5. Alright, this is more of the same. Combine like terms, distribute first, and solve for g using the correct inequality. Don't forget, if you divide by a negative value, you have to reverse the order of the symbol. Okay, last one. Later this week, we are solving or graphing the solutions to linear inequalities. So we're going to rewrite this by isolating y. So I'm going to subtract x from both sides, giving me 3y is greater than or equal to 9 minus x. I'm going to divide every term by 3. And if there is no value, remember you put a 1 on top here. So it looks like I have y is greater than or equal to 3 minus 1/3 x. So the easiest way to do this is to turn your TI-84 calculator on, go to your y equals menu, clear out your math, and generate a table. 3 minus alpha y equals for the fraction button, 1/3 with an x on the side. And then you take a look at your table and pick some nice integer points like 0, 3, 3, 2, 6, 1, right? Like 0, 3, 3, 2, and 6, 1. There we go. You only need 2 points. And then, after we've done that, they're going to ask you to choose, here let me clear this off, change the line or change the shading. So we had a greater than or equal to. So if you change the line, you can make it dashed or solid. And we have an equal to sign here, so we know it's going to be solid. And now what we have to decide is, when I had my sentence here, y is greater than or equal to 3 minus 1/3 x. When I had this sentence, whoops, y is greater than or equal to 3 minus 1/3 x, that all of my answers have to be greater than the line, or greater than or above this line. So that would be this area here. That is greater than the line. That would be above the line. So instead of changing the line, this time I'm going to change the shading. So I'm going to click it once. Nope, that shading is below. So I'm going to click it again, and now that shading is above. And I can submit my answer. Alright, but don't forget, if it's not in isolated form, you have to rearrange it. So you can generate a table by using your y equals button and typing in this equation, 3/2 x minus 1. But for those of you who don't have a calculator, maybe you're considering using the y-intercept, which is -1, and following along with the slope. So you put a point at -1, and then you go up 3 over 2, up 1, 2, 3 over 2, up 1, 2, 3 over 2, up 1, 2, 3 over 2, right? And that creates that nice straight line. So what you're going to do is you're going to click with your mouse at -1, and then from that point, you're going to rise 3, 1, 2, 3, and run 2. That's it. Because there's an equal to sign, you have a solid line, and you're greater than. So it's everything that is above this line, right? If you were walking on this hill, it would be greater than your head, right? It'd be greater than your head. So let's change that shading. Yep, that's exactly what we're looking for. So let's go ahead and submit that. Let's try this one more time. Okay, this problem is not in isolated form. So I'm going to subtract 3x from both sides, giving me this one, -7 minus 3x. Now this is my initial value, or my y-intercept, and this is my rate of change, or my slope, and it is a rate, so it has to be a fraction. So I'm going to put a 3 over 1 there. So -7 is my first point, and then down 3, 1, 2, 3, you can't see off the screen here, and over 1. So I'm going to scroll my screen a bit, and I'm going to plot those points again with you. So -7, and then -1, -2, -3, but +1 in the denominator. So when I isolated my sentence here, remember I had y is greater than -7 minus 3x. I put that 3 over +1. And that's how I got this line here. So we have a greater than sign, not an equal to, so we need a dotted line. And the shading is greater than this line. So remember, if you were a person and you were walking on this hill, you would be going downhill. This would be you walking. So this is greater than your head, and this is less than your feet. So I want to be greater than my head, so the shading needs to be that way, that way. Shading needs to be that way. All right, last one. Isolate for y, so you're going to minus 5x. And then you're going to divide everybody by 2, right? So y is less than -5 halves x minus 8. Okay, now, you'll notice if I start at -8, way down here, if I start at -8, way down here, I can't go down 5, because it would be off the graph. So I'm going to take this -5 over 2, I'm going to make it 5 over -2. So that instead of starting at 8, whoops, and going down 5, I can go up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But then I have a -2 in the denominator, so I'm going to go that way. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, -2, right? So that's the difference. So my first plot will be at -8, but then my next one will be in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, -2. My inequality does not have a less than or equal to sign, so I need it to be dotted. But I want to be lower than my feet, so the shading should be below the line if I was walking. All right, that concludes our lesson for homework 11.